Hi friends, I'm Sarah from Budget Girl, and today I'm gonna break down my expenses into my biggest and my smallest and compare them to what Dave Ramsey's recommended spending percentages are. It's gonna be fun, and I'm doing this alongside a dozen other frugal and financial YouTubers, some of my favorite people online, so let's get into it. So hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Sarah, also known as Budget Girl, and I paid off $33,000 worth of student loan debt in just 3 years on a tiny reporter's salary of $26,000 a year. And I believe that we can all meet our money goals with the aid of a budget. If you would like to be a part of all of the frugal wins and fails and just learning to live life better, I would love it if you liked this video and also subscribe to this channel, because I put out new videos every week trying to teach you how to live a better personal and financial life. So today I'm breaking down my top expenses. We are going over every single bit of my budget and converting it into the percentages that are recommended by Dave, and also trying to figure out what my top percentages are. And this was actually a really fun challenge to do, because while I budget every month, I've never broken it down into recommended percentages before to just see how I stack up against what Dave Ramsey says, and talk about maybe how I could improve some of those. So this is a collab video. I am doing this same topic alongside a dozen plus other great YouTubers. Mark Goody invited me. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, Mark. He doesn't usually introduce himself in videos, so I will link his and all the other participating channels below. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up on screen my budget breakdown and Dave Ramsey's recommended percentages. I went ahead and just threw all of my numbers into an every dollar budget, which is Dave Ramsey's budgeting program, and it came up with that fun little pie graph for me. So this is a breakdown of everything, but it does break things down just a little differently than you see in my monthly budget report. So if you want to see like the specific line items, I'll link a playlist below that has all of my budget reports where you can go poke into my budget and see exactly, like, I got McDonald's on Thursday type description. So this is more of an overall, and this is also a percentage breakdown, which is kind of fun because I haven't done that in a real long time. And I certainly haven't compared it to the recommended percentages because I've just always kind of known that this is what I was working with. So we're gonna jump in and see what my biggest expenses are and also how they stack up against Dave Ramsey's recommended percentages. And I think this is gonna be fun. So as you can see, my very first expense is giving, and that's $185, and that's 6% of my budget. And then next is savings. And this is actually my biggest expense, which is amazing, because if I'm saving more than I am doing anything else, that's just money that's staying with me versus me paying it out to someone else. So debt used to be my biggest expense every month, and now I've just kind of transitioned that into savings, which is fantastic. And that's the reason that this is so high. And it's actually higher than you originally think, because my savings line and my sinking funds line, every dollar broke those out. So my overall savings percentage is actually 35% of my income. And then it's actually a little higher than that, because the numbers that I'm working with are for October so far, and it's $3,211. But that is only estimating that I'll get about $400 from YouTube, and my YouTube income varies every single month, like every YouTuber's, depending on any sponsored deals you may do, or just how much YouTube decides to pay you that month. My income ranges from $400 to $1,500 a month, depending on the time of year, how many videos I'm putting out, the ad rate that they're giving me at that time, and if I'm doing any sponsored deals. So what I did for this month, since I haven't been paid yet, is I estimated the minimum I think I could potentially get, which is $400. So this is my Texas A&M income plus $400 from YouTube, and also minus at the bottom $100 worth of YouTube expenses, because some of the money that I do get from YouTube I kind of try to funnel back into this business for giveaways, for equipment, to go to conferences, stuff like that. But anything on top of those expenses I save. So anything above that 400 that I get, which I'll probably get more than 400 this month, will also go to savings. So it's not just 35%, it's gonna be any side hustling that I do, any extra YouTube income, anything like that also just goes to my savings, which is wonderful. And I'm incredibly, incredibly blessed. So my next highest expense is housing and utilities at 24% of my income. And that's well within Dave Ramsey's recommended percentages for housing. It's right under. He says 25 to 30%. So also my savings is obviously well above his recommended number, and I'm not planning on changing that. I want to keep saving forever, so much money. So my housing and utilities, I pay $665 for my apartment, and then about $100 for utilities. Lately it's been higher because it's been very hot, but for the month of October, since this is October's budget, I haven't had my HVAC system on for a couple of days because the weather's been so nice. It finally became fall in Texas, so I anticipate a much lower bill than normal. So the $100 that I budget is kind of the median for the year. In the summer it's much higher. In the winter, except for the coldest months, it's generally much lower. So that's kind of an average, but I wouldn't say it would get above 26, 27%. It's definitely not gonna hit that 30% cap that Dave recommends. Also, obviously, if you live in a very expensive area, that 25 to 30% on housing and utilities might have to be fudged a bit. It's a common complaint about Dave Ramsey's estimated percentages, but you know what? Most people don't live in LA or New York, so I think we can just kind of roll with it, and you have to do what you have to do with your own budget. So I'm never gonna hate on anyone for having higher than 25% housing costs, because sometimes it just can't happen and you don't want to live in a crazy area. So but mine is well within the estimated system. So my next highest cost is food. I spend about $420, sometimes a little bit more, on food, which is 13% of my budget. Now that's $300 budgeted every month for groceries, and then about $120 for eating out. And I know that may seem very high to some of you, but I am debt-free. I have zero debt, and that's one of the things that I enjoy doing is eating out, and that's the majority of my entertainment budget. So that's where that goes. And it is also within the healthy range of food expenses according to Dave, because he recommends 10 to 15% and I spend 13%. So, and that's also just for food. I assume that you could also put some money into recreation for food, which is not a category that I have in my budget. So he also has 5 to 10% for recreation and 5 to 10% for personal spending. So I think I'm well within the lines there. All right, so my next highest category is personal spending. And I spend about $348 or 11% of my budget on that. Now that is a little bit higher than the Dave Ramsey recommended percentages of 5 to 10%. But that is, for me, my personal spending is, well, for this particular one, the breakdown is this is my cell phone and then my personal spending for like anything outside of food. So this isn't clothes because I have a $50 clothes budget in Miscellaneous, but this is any sort of recreation. This is any like haircuts, anything I do with friends, any like home type stuff. This is kind of almost the miscellaneous category for me. But then there is a miscellaneous category. So personal is $348 for my personal spending envelope and my cell phone, just because I didn't know where else to put that here. All right, so the next percentage highest is my sinking funds, which you've already talked about. It's really just an additional savings. So we can scoot on from that unless you want to know which ones that includes, which is Rory's annual stuff. That includes Christmas, that includes travel, and that includes a car fund, and that's to repair any issues that have with the car and also to replace a car eventually. So that is $320 total that come out every single month so that eventually when I need those things, I have them. And that's also why my transportation costs are so low, which is only at 1%, and Dave recommends 10%, because I only cost gas in this essentially. My insurance is $57 a month, and that's under insurance, and that's 2% of my budget. But under transportation, the only real cost to me is gas. My car is paid for in cash, and I also have that car replace repair fund that any sort of additional car related or transportation related expenses come from. So, and the gas also includes tolls, that kind of thing too. So I'm very lucky that that doesn't cost me that much. And if something does happen with my car, I just pull from that sinking fund. The next thing is miscellaneous spending, which Dave recommends 5 to 10% for, and I spend $107 or 3% of my budget on it. And that includes Hulu, it includes my $50 a month clothing fund, and then $45 a month for fitness or health related stuff. So those are my only real miscellaneous expenses. Next up is insurance. Dave recommends 10 to 25% of your budget to go towards that. And that, I'm assuming, is because most people have to pay for healthcare. Like I said, I'm incredibly lucky that my job provides healthcare for me and that the other medical related expenses are generally pre-tax. So my only insurance is car. So my health, which is recommended 5 to 10%, I put aside $73 a month for any like doctor visit copays, anything, any medications, stuff like that. And then the insurance is $57 for my car. So combined, health and insurance is only 4% of my income. Once again, I am very blessed and very lucky for that. And I went a long time without health insurance, or I always had car insurance without health insurance. So I'm fully aware of how devastating that can be if you get sick and you don't have it. So that is my budget breakdown and my biggest expenses for the month. I'd love to know if you were shocked by any of this. I was actually not sure how high my savings rate was, but it's great to know that it's hovering close to 40% of my income. That's so cool. And there are a few places where I do think I can improve. I think I can probably get food down just a little bit. It's within the recommended, but I personally know that I can do better. But as far as everything else, I think I am doing pretty well. I would love to know what your biggest expenses are and where you think you could improve in your budget. Also, if you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them down below, so go ahead and leave them. And I would love for you to check out the other YouTubers that are doing this tag. It was a lot of fun to kind of figure out where all of my numbers were sitting at percentage-wise and what the biggest ones were. I had a general grasp, of course, because I do my budget every month, but I haven't really broken them down by percent to see what my biggest expenses are and then compared it to what the recommended percentages are. So if you would like to see more videos like these, I would love it if you liked this one and subscribed, and go over to one of the other people that are doing this tag and tell them that I sent you, because I think you should go check them out. They're doing so great over there, and I just want to share the love in this YouTube space. So thank you to Mark for inviting me to this tag, and thank you for all the other YouTubers that are letting me participate. I sure hope you have a good week. Bye.